If you have a man that you've been hung up on, you really crave and desire to have a loving long term relationship with him, and you find yourself getting almost overly attached, overly anxious, and you feel like you may even be pushing him away because of your anxious attachment. Well, this video, I'm going to teach you the power of how to detach, how to let go, how to be in your feminine, your magnetic feminine, to actually draw a man to you, have him want you, pursue you, chase you for a loving, committed relationship. I'm Brody Boyd with Magnetize, your man, and for over 20 years combined with my wife Antia, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get the kinds of devoted, caring relationships that they want with a man they desire fast. So let's go ahead and dive into these principles that I have for you today and specific techniques that you can use to become more magnetically in your feminine. Now, the first principle, number 6, is forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is a powerful principle of detachment and letting go, because oftentimes if you feel like a man has wronged you in some way, that he's taken from you, or he has not given back what you've given in the relationship, you may have resentment. You may have this feeling of like, I got to get back what's been taken from me. Like, he's got to give to me because I've given so much. He can't just walk away. He can't just leave. He can't just do whatever he wants. So it's this dilemma that they talk about in gambling, which is called the sunk cost fallacy, which is where, because you feel like you've given so much into a relationship, because you feel like you've extended yourself and put yourself out there and showed him how much you care and exposed your heart to him, and you haven't felt like you got what you needed in return, that now you feel like you have to keep giving, keep trying to control him and manipulate him to get what you want. There's an old saying as well: when you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. And so you may find yourself continuing to try to grasp at him to get what you want. And so the solution for this is forgiveness. If you can actually find it in your heart to tap in, to be like Jesus and to say, I forgive. Forgive him. He knows not what he does. I forgive. And that's the purpose of forgiveness, is actually not for him. It's not a gift for him. It's a gift for you. Because resentment can be like a poison. You're drinking and hoping that the other person is going to die from you drinking the poison of resentment and hating him or wanting him to change. So forgiving him, and then of course forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for doing the best you knew how, for trying to be a good partner, for maybe making some mistakes that you know you made mistakes. Maybe you were too much in your masculine in the relationship, too much mothering him, giving to him, trying to control him, trying to lead the relationship forward rather than inspiring him into his healthy masculine devotion to care and give to you, which is masculine. The masculine gives, the feminine receives. And so forgiving yourself for that. Forgiving him, forgiving yourself, and perhaps there's also some degree of forgiving others in your life. Maybe this pattern has been repeated because you haven't forgiven your father for not giving you the love that you desired, or your mother, or maybe you had a narcissistic parent or a parent who abused you in some way. Forgiving them so that you can end the generational curse, you can end the pattern, and start to actually create a happy, healthy relationship. So there may be several people that you have to forgive, but this is a big piece of detachment, a big piece of letting go, and really spiritual enlightenment when you can forgive as a gift to yourself, as a gift to everyone around you, really, and to God, really, to say, I forgive, and I'm going to create a blank slate. I'm going to forgive them of their debts, create a blank slate, and now from this place, I'm going to be in my magnetic, high-value feminine energy, and I'm going to attract his devotion, or maybe a better man that's going to come in and step into the picture to give me the devotion, the needs that I have, that I crave to have. So that's a big piece. The next secret, number 5, to detach and be more in your magnetic feminine energy, is to scream into a pillow or in your car. So sometimes what happens is you get this anxiety running through your system, or anger or fear that's in your system, and it's building up. And what happens if that energy is not channeled in a healthy way, it can often lead to you being in your masculine, trying to control him, criticizing him, blaming him, trying to compete with him, or trying to condemn him in some way, instead of releasing it in a healthy way, which would be just getting the energy out often. Because if that energy is like a pent-up storm inside of you, that energy needs to be released. And if it's going to be released in a healthy way, it's less likely to be released in a destructive way. So a good healthy way of getting rid of that anxiety, getting rid of that fear, the energy that's inside of you, the over attachment potentially, is to just scream it out. Jump on your bed, jump into the pillow, and scream your heart out. If nobody else is around, it's even easier. If there are people around, you can scream into the pillow. You can do what's called dragon breath, where you do it like as a quiet scream, like ah, 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 and just get that energy out of your system. Sometimes if you have the ability, even punch the pillow, kick your feet, just get that frustration, that anxiety out of your system, release the demon so that you can be free. And after you can release it, you can oftentimes flip back onto your back, put your hands on your heart, and fill yourself up with loving, connected, I am worthy energy. I am worthy. I am feminine. I'm valuable. I deserve love. A man is, I am the prize. I am the gift. And a man is, I deserve to be cherished by a high value man. So these kind of affirmations, you can fill your heart up, fill your body up, fill your womb up with these new powerful energies and affirmations. So then you can be free. And again, if you can't do this in your house, you could also do it in your car, a mini version of it. Just scream in your car, roll up the windows, scream in your car. Most cars are very soundproof. It's very hard to hear what's going on inside. Get the energy out. You can do this also. It's sometimes more convenient. You can do it on your drive home. You could do it in between breaks at work. There's different ways you can find the space to get this energy out in a healthy way. Maybe you're triggered. Maybe something happened. Maybe he didn't get back to you. Maybe he said something you didn't like. Get the energy out of your system, and now fill yourself up with the positive energy, positive affirmations. Now you're much more level-headed to come back into the relationship and actually have a healthy conversation from your feminine energy that magnetizes and draws him to you rather than pushing him away. And we teach you how to communicate in that way that actually draws him to you as well. Which will be very powerful, but it's going to be most effective when you're in that energy of the magnetic feminine rather than in this charged, triggered state, which that's fine as well, but it's going to be much better for you if you can release some of that beforehand. The next powerful principle, number 4, is focus on having fun. Now, fun is like a cheat code you can use to help you get back into your feminine energy, to get out of your masculine, because again, the masculine is about getting things done, accomplishing. What's the strategy? What's the plan? What's the outcome that I want to get? And feminine energy is about detaching from the outcome. It's about enjoying the process. It's about letting go, and having fun is a big piece of that. Having fun naturally puts you into that energy of letting your hair down, laughing, being playful, being joyful, and detached from the outcome. So this is a cheat code you can use with yourself. If you're finding yourself getting too attached to a guy, maybe you're on a date, maybe you're nervous, you want him to like you, you're not sure what to say next, you're trying to put on a performance, you're trying to tell him all the right things that you think he wants to hear so that he likes you, so that he asks you out on a second date. Instead, just let all that go and focus on, how can I have fun right now? How can I enjoy myself? Maybe we need to pour another glass of champagne. Maybe you need to turn on some music, some 80s music. Maybe we need to maybe I need to tell some jokes or pull out my wig. So there's different things you could do to like have fun in a situation. And then just that question, just ask yourself, how can I have fun right now? How can I make this enjoyable for me? How can I enjoy this date? How can I enjoy this relationship more? How can I enjoy my life more? Just that question starts to put you in the right energy of detaching from the outcome, having fun, and enjoying the process. Naturally coming back to your feminine, into your feminine instincts, bypassing all of the mental stuff, the thoughts, the gibberish, the data that might be going on in your head. What should I say next? What should I do? How can I make him like me? Is he pulling away? Did I screw it up? Did I say something that offended him? All these thoughts that might be going on, you can let those go and just be like, what if I just had fun right now? Girls just want to have fun. Turn on that song, dance around. It'll be much better after that. The third technique to detach and be in your feminine to attract a quality man is to trust in God. So if you're having a hard time trusting in him, trusting in the process, try to tap into a higher power. Try to listen to the higher power, God, and say, I give it up to you. Like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know how to be great in this relationship. I don't know how to handle my presence of mind. I don't know how to not screw this up. I don't know what to do next. I'm giving it up to you. Just take it, please. Take it off my shoulders. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I surrender. I surrender. Because surrender is a big piece of this. So really, it's like the ultimate surrender, right? Trusting in God, trusting in anything else other than yourself. It's like, I surrender. Because that's what the masculine energy is desiring. The masculine energy is like wanting you to surrender to him. So masculine energy craves being trusted and respected, that you trust and respect him to lead you, to lead the relationship forward. And for you to do that, you have to surrender and you have to trust. And so this is a good practice you can do on a daily basis. Even doesn't have to do with relationships all the time. You could just say like, I don't know what the answer is right now. I'm just going to give it up to God. I trust you, God. Thank you. Thank you for taking off my shoulders. Lead me, guide me, show me what to do. And maybe just give me peace. Maybe that could be your prayer. Like, God, just please give me some, and you don't say please, say, God, grant me peace. What's the serenity prayer, right? Grant me the wisdom to know what I should do. I should actually pull that up. Sometimes I forget that prayer. Serenity prayer. Let's all recite it together. It's a great prayer to help you get back into your feminine. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's a very powerful prayer. It's a very feminine prayer. It's a prayer of surrender, really. And that's why they call it serenity, because feminine energy is about peace. It's about surrender, and it's about letting go. And so that's what we're helping you here. So use that prayer, use any other prayers that you may have, depending on, your spiritual practice, how connected you are to God, to Jesus, to whatever your spiritual connection is, to find a place where you can get into that surrender energy of like, I let it go, I give it up to you. Let go and let God. So very powerful to use. Number 2, use the affirmation, let it all go. I just mentioned that piece of it as well, let it all go. So you can let it all go and give it to God, or you can just use that affirmation at any time and tell yourself and remind yourself, let it all go. Because letting go is like simply just letting something drop out of your hand. It really can be that easy. Let me see here. I have, do I have my prayer? Okay, here we go. I have a marker. So this is your attachment. This is the man. This is the love you crave. It's good that it's red color. This is the devotion that you crave from Sir Mark-a-Lot. And you want to let it go. It's like it's driving you. It's pushing you into anxiety. It's pushing you into this needy energy. How do you let it go? Well, this is what it looks like to let go. Let's let it. Like, that's what it looks like. Shocking, I know. Let's do it again. Sir Mark-a-Lot, I am going to release you to God. I'm going to release you to the universe, to your highest good, your higher power, to your higher power as well. Oh, I'm releasing you to trust in your own connection to God. Bye-bye. It doesn't mean he has to be totally out of your life. It means you're letting go of the attachment to him. You're letting go of needing something from him in order to feel happy. That's what attachment is, because I get this question often in our coaching memberships, like, well, is attraction attachment? Is wanting something attachment? It's like, no. You can be attracted to somebody, but not need them to make you happy, not need them in order to be happy. You can still want something, but not need it in order to be happy, to not feel devastated and hurt and like the world is falling down if you don't get it. That's what attachment is. Attachment is when your happiness is attached to that thing, that you are literally miserable or close to being miserable if you don't have it in your life. So we're letting go of the attachment. You can still have something, you can love something, you can be with something, you can enjoy something, you can want to have things in your life, to have nice things, to have a nice man in your life, but you're letting go of the, I need to have it in order to be happy. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it float away into the ethers. Imagine just said he floats away. It's okay, he can come back, but you're just letting him be to his own power, letting him be by himself. Because you can't ultimately control anything except yourself. You can't control a man. You can't control him coming closer to you. Nothing you do is really going to be able to control him. All you can do is focus on yourself, be a magnetic feminine, be a high-value magnetic feminine woman, and he's going to do with it what he may. He's going to come closer to you, or he's not. He has his own free will, and he's going to either choose to step up or not. And ultimately, you may have to let him go and really move on and step away from the relationship if needed, if a man isn't showing that care and devotion to your heart. But by you using the things we're going to teach you on how to be the magnetic feminine, how to use feminine communication and draw men to you through who you're being, through simply what you share in your vulnerable, open feminine heart, in your energy, you're going to draw a man to you. But ultimately it's all about you. You are responsible for you. This is all you have control over, and the rest you have to let it go and let him and trust in the process. And he's either going to step into that or not. But we just want to make sure we're cleaning up your side of the street, that you're being the best, most valuable, most feminine, most open, most receptive woman you can be. And then he's going to step up into that, hopefully. And if not, you have to let it go. Let it go. And then the last point number 1, is to join a high value group or membership. Now, what this means is it's going to be much easier to let go when you have other resources, other people around you who are lifting you up. This could be friends, high value family, high value community, or a group that you're part of, or a membership of women who are coming together to help each other, to lift each other up. There could be men in the group as well, but you're getting your needs met from other sources, and you're getting new high value information and other sources of emotional support, mental support, spiritual support even, that's filling you up, that's lifting you up, so that you're not feeling like you have to have this specific thing in your life, whether that's a man or something else that you're super attached to in an unhealthy attachment. It'll help you to let go, and you'll get many other resources as well provided for you, many other forms of support that will help fill your own cup so that you start to overflow with your magnetism, with your femininity. It becomes inevitable that you will attract a high value man into your life, high value masculine man, because you are being this amazing woman, because you filled up your own cup. You've invested into yourself, and you've created a community and an environment around you that is supporting you in being your magnetic feminine. Because there's an old saying, environment trumps willpower. And what that means is your environment around you is more powerful than your inner sense of willpower. So you may say like, oh, I'm not going to text him, I'm not going to do this. But then if you're in an environment where everyone else is being desperate and needy and low value, you're going to be much more likely to be in that desperate energy, and you're going to lower your standards, and you're going to accept bad behavior from men, and you're going to accept low value men into your life and low value behavior, and you're not being the high value queen anymore because of the environment you've surrounded yourself with. So you have to lift yourself up and put yourself into a queenly environment. And so now, speaking of that, if you'd like to get surrounded by a queenly environment and actually let us do this work for you and give you the specific scripts of what to use with a guy that you're interested in to draw him to you into your magnetic feminine, I highly recommend taking our free Magnetize Your Man quiz to get a loving, long-term, and committed relationship with the man you desire as soon as possible by clicking the link in the description below or going into our bio, or you can also go to magnetizeyourman.com, which is our website. So go ahead and take that free quiz. I highly recommend it. If you haven't already, we will do this for you. We will help support you all the way doing the 90-day challenge to get the man that you want and have a loving, long-term, committed relationship. So highly recommend that. And now I'm going to go ahead and open it up to some Q&A here, because we have some great questions that have come in. So I'm going to, and if you have questions, by the way, before I start answering some of these, post your questions in the comments now. Anything you have around what I mentioned in the video: detachment, feminine energy, feminine communication, magnetism, so specific situation you're dealing with a man, some frustration that you're having in your dating, in your love life, post it in the comments or below this video, and I'll go ahead and start answering some questions. So let's start. Mercedes said, yeah, forgiving is a gift for yourself. Totally. Very important. Release tension and attention for more joyful things. Yes, once you can release the tension, you can release this attachment, more valuable things are actually available to you to come into your life, because feminine energy is about openness. So if you're so busy, there's this old Chinese proverb that you have to let go of the quart in order to grab the cup, or the gallon. You have to let go of the quart in order to grab onto the gallon. So if you want something better in your life, often you have to stop holding on to this thing that's actually not great in your life. Where'd my marker go? You have to stop holding on to this thing that's not great so that you can accept something that is great, whether that's not great behavior or a not great man. Sometimes you do have to walk away from an entire relationship because he's just not showing care for you, and you've used everything we've taught you. You're in your magnetic feminine. You've used the scripts and the communication, and he hasn't stepped up. He hasn't shown you his devotion. Sometimes you do have to be willing to let go so you can grab on or hold or allow something much better into your life. That's what letting go is all about, is you're creating space, you're creating openness, which is feminine. Feminine energy is about openness so that you can receive high quality masculine devotion into your system, into your life. Alina said, I forgive, but don't forget. Remember the ones who hurt me. Yes, totally. I totally agree with that. Forgiveness is not necessarily about forgetting. You can totally remember what people did, keep it in the back of your mind, at least to know what you should be careful of in the future, what signs you should look for. But what you've done with forgiveness is you've released the energy around it. It's like I can still know that I could still lock my door at night because I know that there could be bad people that can come into my house, but I'm not thinking about it all the time, and I'm not resenting other people, other burglars who have broken into other people's homes or broken into my home in the past. I'm like, I lock the door and I forget about it, but I'm not forgetting to lock the door. I still lock the door, and that's how you can be aware of people who have hurt you in the past and things to look out for. There are signs, and part of what we're doing here is helping you open up into trust and forgiveness so that you can allow, even if you've been hurt in the past, you can allow a high quality man to come into your life and treat you well, or the man that you're with now, that you start to show him that extra level of trust and respect, which is the masculine's deepest needs, so that you can shift your dynamic and have him actually start shifting his behavior towards you. Because for you to not show trust and respect to a man, that would be like a man saying, I'm not going to show you love and care and devotion until you show me that you're worthy of that. Like, I'm not going to really care for you. I'm not going to really love you until you show me that you're worthy of being loved and being cared for. And so that's the same of like what you would do when you're not going to show respect or follow a man's leadership in the relationship, trust his masculine until he shows that he's trustworthy. Sometimes you have to go first, and it will be scary and it will take courage, but that's how you can often shift the dynamic so that now you create an upward spiral for your relationship where he starts coming closer to you rather than pulling away or pushing away. Scorpio said, how do I go about forgiving my parents? How do I start those conversations? Well, the first conversation starts with yourself. So you have to, oftentimes journaling can be helpful for this, is actually make a list of all the things that you want to let go of, resentments that you have, things you didn't feel like you got from your parents, and then just consciously write underneath each of those things, like, I forgive you for that. I forgive. I let it go. It's like you're canceling out the debts. Like, imagine if you have a bank account that's has a bunch of negative balances and of people who owe you money, and you're just going through and you're just putting an X to it. Cancel it, cancel it. They don't owe me money anymore. They don't owe me money anymore. They don't owe me money anymore. You're canceling the debts, right? That's what forgiveness is really like, which is kind of scary in a way. It's like, oh man, but this person owes me $10,000. Like, I'm just going to let that go? Like, shouldn't I take them to court? Shouldn't I like get back at them? It's like, well, is that realistic? Is that actually going to happen? Is there, and especially with your parents, like you can't turn back the clock. You can't go back in time and have a different childhood, a different relationship with them. So oftentimes it's not even possible. So why are you holding on to it? Like, let it go. Let the debt go. Cancel it out. Forgive them. So now you can actually start with a clear balance, and perhaps now they'll start adding into the bank account, and they'll start giving to you because you've let go of this resentment energy that may be actually keeping them from changing their orientation towards you. So that's part of what it's like. And if you're going to have conversations with your parents, I had this with my mom, with my parents as well. I had a forgiveness conversation where I just said, Mom, Dad, like, I know you did the best you could. I just want to share something with you. So I would start with asking if you could share something with them. Say, can I share something with you? Sure. I just want to say, I think about sometimes our childhood and maybe some things that I've mentioned that I was upset about my childhood, or things I didn't get, or this thing that happened. And I just want to let you know that, I've decided I know you were the best. You're doing the best you knew how at the time. And we're all human. We're all doing the best we can. And I just want to let you know that I really do forgive you. And I appreciate. So you don't just want to forgive them too. You could also look for some of the things that you got out of it. Like, I appreciate the things that you did do that I loved, and that you were trying, and you did do this and you did do that. And yeah, I just want to really just forgive you and let it go. And I just want to say I love you. You don't have to get to that place where you say I love you, but part of if you ever heard of the Ho'oponopono prayer, which can be powerful, saying I actually rewrote it. Let me see. I rewrote it because I think there's better ways that you can use the Ho'oponopono prayer. We actually have this in our coaching membership. So I want to pull this up here, what we actually teach. As long as it doesn't take me too much time here. Where did I get that? Feminine affirmations. Yeah, so the Ho'oponopono prayer, while I picked that up, is basically, oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Please forgive me. I wish you well. That's my version of it. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Please forgive me. I wish you well. And it's a way to let this energy go. And it's an affirmation. It's like a prayer you can say to yourself. You don't need the other person to be there. You could say it to them, like, I'm sorry, I forgive you, please forgive me, I wish you well. And depending on the person, you could also replace that last piece, which is usually how the Ho'oponopono prayer goes. I'm sorry, I forgive you, please forgive me, I love you. You could say I love you at the end. Now, it depends on who the person is and how you feel. You could just say I wish you well. Even someone who really hurt you in your past, you could probably find that small place inside of you where you can say, I wish you well. Like that's just to really help you stretch, to really let it go. Like to the point where you could even say, I wish you well. That's how you can really know you've gotten to a place of true forgiveness, when it's like, I wish you the best. Farewell. You've really like detached, you've cut the energetic ties so that you can move forward and you can be free and you can be in your feminine and you can be open to new experiences. So hope that was helpful as well. Great questions. Yeah, so we have a lot of women saying here, I can forgive but can't forget. Yeah, totally. So that's totally fine as well. So this another question said, I was just thinking of this very issue, brought up YouTube, and lo and behold, you are talking about the topic. Thank you for talking about this. Yeah, I'm sure God has something to do with that. You've been led to this because you need to go deeper in this area, likely. Forgive, 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 and let go. And there's more, all the principles I taught in here is not just about forgiveness. That's a big piece, but there's other strategies, other techniques you can use to really forgive and get into your feminine to move forward in life. So again, if anyone has any other questions in here, we have some more questions I'm going to go through, but continue to post your questions in the comments and anything you're dealing with in your relationship related to this or not. I could start answering some more questions related to femininity. So let's see. Mercedes said, do you have any recommendations for podcasts or channels like this one, but for men? There are a lot of channels. So we get this often. Sometimes women will say, like, oh, why are you teaching all the women how to change? Like, what about the men? They need to do the work too. And yeah, of course the men need to do work. And there are a lot of channels out there that are helping men. If you search for like how to attract women or what women want or how to be more masculine, there's a lot of channels and a lot of content that is existing for men. Not all of it is great. In fact, I used to also produce a lot of content for men. But I switched because I enjoyed doing both and I just felt called into this area. Partly because we're attracting so many women with my wife. She's been doing coaching women for so long and we're having so many women in our programs. I'm like, I would like to coach women as well because there's some important things that we needed to teach that haven't been really spoken for women. And there is, of course, a lot for men as well. So I don't have any specific recommendations right now for channels for men. But what I would say is if you have a son or if you have a man who wants help, because you never want to just tell a man, oh, go read this book or go listen to this channel, because that's emasculating and it's also you being in your masculine telling him what to do, like the mother, right? But if you have a young son and or if your man has asked you if you know of anything, he wants to get help, he wants to look for solutions, I would have him actually, he can watch some of these videos to learn what the women are learning and learn a deeper perspective on what women want. And then, of course, you can also check out, there's some great books I would recommend. There's one called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. That's a good one for men. And there's another one called The Way of the Superior Man. It's a good one for men. I've read hundreds of books on different subjects related to that: masculinity, dating, relationships, psychology, biology. And there's a lot of value in all different teachings that are existing out there. So let's see if we have any other questions coming in. If not, I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. We are getting some more, but please post your questions if you have them on dating and relationships so that we can keep the party going, or I will wrap it up. If you want the party to continue for this video, keep the questions coming, or I'll start wrapping it up. So let's see here. Mercedes said, "Are the markers? Is the marker company sponsoring you?" No, they are not, but they should. I should try to get a brand deal going so I can use them in my future videos. Uh, and then she also said, "The thing about the topic of the day is how to start trusting if you are really hurt." Yeah, so if you're really hurt, for one, you need to allow yourself to hurt. It's okay to hurt. Let yourself grieve. Let yourself feel the pain. Let it flow through you, because that's part of being the feminine openness is how do you feel pain with an open heart? So sometimes when you feel pain, you may want to close up, you may want to shut down and like I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to put myself out there again. I don't want to risk getting hurt. But instead it's this opportunity being in your feminine. How do you actually live with an open heart? How do you even feel pain and feel challenges in your life with an open heart rather than closing up? And so part of it is being willing to share. And you can share your feelings and share your feelings with a man. That's what using magnetic feminine communication is all about, to share with a man when you are feeling fear or you are feeling some pain or you are feeling some anxiety, different emotions that are coming up, to actually share that vulnerably and say, "May I share something with you?" Sure. "I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling fear." "Why are you feeling fear?" "Because I've been in bad situations in the past, and I've been hurt before, and I'm just noticing I'm telling myself these stories that I might get hurt again, and it's causing me to feel fear, and I don't want to feel that way anymore, and I don't know what to do. Could I have some help? Could you help me with that?" And now you're waking up his hero instinct to actually help you with your fear, to help you with your pain, and say, like, "I don't want you to feel that fear anymore. Like, come to me. Like, come over here, baby. Like, give me a hug. I don't want you to feel that way." And he'll start to help and want to protect you, because you're activating his protective instinct rather than if you were just closed up and not sharing anything and just being a little bit like distant. He's not going to feel your open, radiant heart, and he's not going to feel compelled to want to help you and to want to come closer. So using magnetic feminine energy, it inspires him to come closer, inspires him to want to help and to understand what's going on for you, because he might not know before why you were actually pulling away or why you were feeling sad or why you were feeling hurt. Now he knows he can do something about it, and he gets to feel that vulnerability, which is one of the most attractive things to a masculine man. He wants to feel your open, feminine, vulnerable heart so that he can feel like, this is my woman. This is a woman I want to protect. I want to serve. I want to be her hero. And I want to be received. I want to know that I can help her and that she values that. She wants my help. She wants to have a hero in her life. I could be that man. I could be her hero. That's how he wants to feel. So that's part of it. And then, of course, the other part, because we had another, Judy said, the trust is gone. Yeah, so it will be scary. And part of it is starting to take, the other piece is starting to take a specific situation that may have happened in your life and making sure you're avoiding generalizing it. Saying like, this man hurt me, or maybe it was a couple men. Maybe there was 2 or 3 men that hurt you in a specific way. They abused you or they took advantage of you. And maybe it had to do with some kind of pattern you were running where you were attracting narcissists or attracting bad men, or you had low standards, or you weren't speaking up, or you weren't setting boundaries with yourself and getting out of bad situations. And so now it's like ending that pattern and saying, just because those 3 men wounded you in this way does not mean it's impossible to attract a good man who's going to be helping you and be devoting himself to you, and that you're still attracted to and you feel that you want him in your life. So a man you're excited about and who's devotional, who's caring for you. So you have to start believing, that's part of being a high value woman, is believing that you deserve that, believing that there are good men out there that you're attracted to, that you want, quality men, high quality, high value men who are masculine, who care and want to devote themselves to you. Because the more you can open yourself up to that possibility, the more you're becoming that type of high value woman that's going to attract that kind of man. Because a high value woman, what does she do? She believes she's worthy. She believes she's good enough. She believes she deserves to have a high value man taking care of her heart and protecting her and providing for her and giving to her and making her happy, helping to make her happy. Because ultimately you're making yourself happy, but wanting to do everything he can to make you happy. So you have to believe that that's possible, first off, and you have to believe then that you deserve it. And oftentimes you can use this little trick, which is, if you desire it, then you automatically deserve it. So starting to affirm that to yourself, like, if I desire that, then I deserve it. And if I deserve it, then it's possible. that you can have this man in your life, that you can have that kind of relationship. Because otherwise, the alternative is just continuing to be closed off. No, there's no good men out there. No, I don't want to get hurt again. I don't want to open up again. I don't want to risk it. I'm just going to live by myself with my cats or my friends or my tea parties or whatever you do for fun. And I'm not going to open myself up to the risk of being loved, because love is a risk, right? Love is a risk. Of course, you can get hurt again. Of course, you can get betrayed. You can get cheated on. You can get lied to. That can all happen. And then there's also so much great things that can happen as well. What about the risk of those great things happening? What about the risk of having your soulmate in your life, of living your rest of your life with somebody who devotes themselves to you and wants to be there by your side through all the great memories and traveling the world and creating a family together, or co-merging families, or just growing old together and living together as a couple who helps each other to enjoy this ride of life and be secure in that. So you also have to risk the possibility of something great happen. If you're going to risk the possibility of something bad happen, you have to at least be fair with yourself and risk the possibility of something great happening, right? I mean, that's only fair. So also remember to remind yourself of the risk of something great happening. Like, well, it can be awesome also. There can be great men out there. There can be amazing relationship. Because the alternative, again, is being closed off and there's no possibility of anything changing. And it's just going to be more of the same. I always go back to the story of the Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer Scrooge was this closed off man, right? He was a man. He wasn't a woman. Maybe it would also be more impactful in some ways if he was a woman. But he was closed off to people. He said, I'm not going to love again because I was hurt. This woman left me, or I hurt her and she left me, and I'm never going to love again. I'm going to distrust people. And then what happened in that story is he was visited by 3 ghosts: the ghost of the past, the ghost of the present, and the ghost of the future. And he didn't really change, though, until he was visited by the ghost of the future. So this is a little exercise you can do with yourself if you're this type of person who has a lot of fear about trusting again, opening up again to the possibility of love. Is imagine that you're visited by the ghost of the future and seeing yourself like Ebenezer in the story. The ghost of the future like took him to his grave, or took him to his funeral, and there was like 4 people at the funeral and showed him the end of his life, where it's basically just more of the same for the rest of his life, being this poor, miserable old man living by himself, basically not having friends, not having a relationship, not having any of these amazing experiences, community, friends, family, love. And he thought that was just the most horrible thing he could ever witness. There's another saying I remember, which is, I don't know where this came from, but it was, hell is seeing the person that you could have been. And that's a powerful statement. It's like, wow, real hell is seeing the person that you could have been if you would have opened up again, if you would have tried again, if you would have took the risk, had the courage, put yourself out there one more time. So you don't want to experience that as well, which is living with the possibility of what if I would have opened up a little bit more? What if I would have shared my heart a little bit more? Given it another chance. So that can often help shift things as well. But I have compassion for you. I know it's hard and it takes courage, but there's so much beauty on the other side that it's worth it if you'll have that courage often to just give it that extra level of opening. So I hope that helps. So let's see. So Mercedes said, thanks. Can I ask about going to bed? How do you know if you're going to like a man if you don't try him? Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. So I highly encourage you not to have sex with a man before you're in an exclusive committed relationship. And meaning that he's also claimed you, not just that you're exclusive, but also that he's claimed you emotionally by showing his devotion to you and showing that you are his woman. The reason why is because if you just casually have sex with a man because you got to try it out before you buy it out, then you're risking that the man is not going to have this sense of devotion for you, because his sense of care and devotion hasn't been activated. And there's also the bigger risk really is when you sleep with a man, biologically, you're much more likely to get attached, which is what the subject of this video is about. and to start craving him because biologically there's this idea that you could have his children. You could be pregnant because you had sex with him, and your mind may say that's BS, but your body doesn't know the difference. And so your body's going to start seeing him as a potential your future baby daddy, and saying like, oh, I need to hold on to this guy because I may be pregnant, I may be having kids with him, and so I can't let him out of my sight, I can't let him go. And so what happens is oftentimes then you're going to get more anxious, you're going to get more needy, and it's more likely when you're anxious and needy that you're going to go into masculine behavior where you're trying to take the steering wheel and control the relationship. I'm going to control him. I'm going to try to drive this relationship forward. I'm going to try to get him to commit to me. I'm going to try to get him to devote to me. But it's like it's too late at that point. Like you've already given him the goods. You've already had sex with him. And now why would he devote? And he still may. And there's ways, especially he can still. And we teach you how to do that with magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication. But it's going to be a lot harder of a process usually because of those reasons, that he's less likely to value you as a high value woman, and you're more likely to get attached and needy. And so there's a lot of other ways to try out a man. You could just also ask him, may I ask if your penis is working? And he'll likely be honest with you. If you're like, before we get married, can I just make sure that everything's working downstairs? And so that's good conversations to have. Of course, you can say that in a different way using magnetic feminine communication, but the idea is the same. Like you can have these conversations, and there's ways to figure that out, and likely also if you're sharing how you feel and you're sharing open communication with a man, that he'll be able to meet your needs and more in bed and in other ways. And it's going to be a much healthier situation. Like you don't want to get caught in certain situations. Like we've had several friends where this is the case, where they were sleeping with a guy casually, and then all of a sudden they got pregnant. Maybe this wouldn't be the case for you, but that's like an extreme example. Like all of a sudden they got pregnant, and they, didn't want to kill the baby, and they're like, now I have a baby, and this man is, my baby daddy, and I'm stuck with this situation. So you also don't want to get caught in a situation like that. There's many other situations that can happen with STDs and all these other things. It's just something to best avoid, and there's other ways to figure out if a man's going to be good without having to sexually try it. Think of relationships also like a dance. You can have a lot of sexual tension, you can have a lot of sexual connection, just like in a salsa dance, in a tango dance, in a ballroom. West Coast swing was my favorite, where you can experience what it's like to be in a relational dance, which is like having sex, and you have this polarity, you have this tension, and it doesn't necessarily have to be having an orgasm with each other and him being literally inside of you. There's lots of ways to experience a man and have this chemistry and have this sexual, even almost like a emotionally sexual dance with him without having physical sex. So just some thoughts on that. I know we can go much deeper, but yeah, so to speak, but just want to share some thoughts on that. So Candace said, when dating, is investing as much as a man in the beginning, that is mirroring, is that the best way to do it? Yeah, so I want you to think about this a different way. So the masculine is giving, the feminine is receiving. The masculine role, the masculine energy is giving, and the feminine role, the feminine energy is receiving. Just like in sex, just like in a dance. You're receiving his leadership, you're receiving his gifts. So really, you don't have to invest anything into the relationship. I know that sounds like a shock, right? Ideally, all you're really doing as the feminine is receiving. You're receiving. So I know you're probably talking about like, should I text him as much as he's texting me, or should I text as long as he's texting, or should I call him after he calls me? Really, he's giving to you. He's giving to you. He's investing in you. He's in the masculine, and you as the feminine, the only thing you really have to do, the only thing you really have to give or invest into him is your femininity, your feminine energy. That's your gift, right? You're receiving. You're receiving, you're sharing your feelings, you're vulnerable, you have an open heart, you're appreciating him, you're respecting him, you're trusting him to lead, to guide you. And that's really all you have to give. Let him be your hero. Let him be the giver. Let him give. Let him invest. And you just have to say, thank you. You're my hero. Thank you. I feel so happy when you did this for me. I feel so amazing. I feel so safe when you check in with me like this. I feel so grateful that you bought me dinner, that you paid for this, or that you took us on this trip. I feel so happy. This is amazing. Thank you so much. So these are ways you can express your feelings. Mostly he wants to feel that he's had an impact, that his gifts are being received. Sometimes it could just be a simple thank you. But what's more important is that he feels you. He feels the thank you. He feels the appreciation. He feels the impact that he's making you happy. And so that's more of an extreme example of what I'm saying is really you don't have to do anything. Let him just invest, invest, invest. You don't really have to do much back. I mean, of course, with communication, you can respond and say thank you, or whatever question he asks you, you answer the question, but you don't necessarily have to ask him a question back. Or if he gives you a compliment, you don't have to give him a compliment back. Or if he says he loves you and you don't feel love yet, you don't have to say I love you back. Just receive it. Just say thank you. He says I love you so much. You'd be like, thank you. I appreciate that. So like, you don't have to give much. You're being the queen. And now if he asks you and he says like, could you give me a back massage, babe? Like it was a really hard day at work. And you're like, yeah, I would love to give you a back massage. Because overall, the goal here is overall, you want to be looking at the relationship. Is he giving more and are you receiving more? Because ideally you want to be the one receiving. Receiving. That's when you're in your feminine, and him giving. That's him in the masculine. That's where he feels like your hero. That's where his kingly energy is activated. And you have polarity and attraction and chemistry and passion. That's when you have this masculine feminine polarity, the law of polarity. Opposite energies attract. The more masculine he is, the more feminine you are. And the more feminine you are, the more masculine he is. So that he's constantly being pulled into his masculine. He feels great because men feel happiness differently than women. He's getting his sense of happiness by knowing that you're happy, that he's doing a good job as a man. That's where he gets his sense of meaning, that I'm the hero. I'm being respected. I'm being valued. I'm being received. I'm being, did I say appreciated already? Received, valued, appreciated, wanted, and I'm doing a good job. I'm winning with her. That's what a masculine, healthy man wants to feel. He doesn't need to feel like you're giving to him, or that you're investing also in the relationship, or that you're paying for half the meals. He doesn't want you to pay for half the meals. I mean, if he's a more feminine man, he's likely going to ask you to split the bill or pay for the meal, or if he's broken or doing has some other alternative motives. But a healthy masculine man, he gets his pleasure from giving, and you receiving, and respecting and wanting him to lead. So I'm sure that maybe bring up some other questions, but that's what I'll say about that. Hope that helps, Candace. Abigail said, what would you tell a single mom in her 40s that's looking today again to focus on the most? What to focus on the most, I guess, is what you're saying. Yeah, sorry to hear about that. I know it can be really tricky and challenging, definitely challenging to be a single mother, for one. But so the advice I would say is like the things we're teaching you here. Like if you're a single mom, you're going to want to attract even more so a very masculine, healthy man, a man who really wants to be the provider, the protector, to be your hero, because you also have a daughter or a son, or maybe multiple, and they're going to need fathering also. They're going to need care also, and they're going to appreciate care from a father energy, from a king energy in your household or in your life. So you have to be even more feminine, unfortunately, which is really hard because you're being called into your masculine so much because you have to take care of children, right? Mothering is actually a very masculine activity. Think about it. You have to tell your children what to do and stop doing this and come here, we have to get going. It's you directing them. You're in your masculine. You're protecting them. You're making sure they don't get hurt. You're making sure they're eating enough. That's very masculine energy. That's care. That's giving. That's providing, right? So you have to step away from that when you're in your dating life, in your romantic life, to let that all go and say, I want a man to take care of me. I'm going to allow a man to take care of me. I'm welcoming that. I'm appreciating that. And I'm calling that in. Like I deserve a high value masculine man who's taking care of me, who's devoting to me, and who wants to also take care of my family. Like maybe he's not necessarily stepping into that role immediately, but he wants to be your king. He wants to be your provider. And if you're doing all of that correctly, if you're really in your magnetic feminine, which I'd recommend getting some support with that, he's going to want to do that as well. He's going to want to like take that on as this is my kingdom. I want to take care of this. This is like you're becoming my new family in a sense. Like I want to take, I'm claiming this as my territory as well. I'm claiming you first and foremost because you're my woman and I want to protect your heart and I want you. And I'm also taking on, this is now my family too. This is our family and I'm going to be responsible for also providing and protecting and being the leader, being the king for this territory here. So that's what you want to call in. So yeah, you're in the right place. You're learning a lot of the right things, and that's what I would say is just keep on it, keep believing, don't stop believing, and hold on to that feeling. I can't play the song, otherwise we'll get copyright strikes probably. But play that song tonight. Play that song. Don't stop believing. He's there. He's waiting for you. It's possible, and that's what you want in your life as a king. So you got to learn how to be the queen. All right, next question from Robin. Your videos have changed my life. So grateful to have found your channel last month. So great to hear that, Robin. Um, I appreciate that, and great example, also great practice of feminine appreciation, because it feels great to me. I know as a masculine, I'm helping, I'm being of service, and that activates a man's masculine energy when he feels that sense of I'm doing good works, I'm being appreciated, I'm being received. My work is having value for you. He's solving problems for you. He's fixing things. Like he wants to feel like that's meaningful, that it's being appreciated, it's being valued, and he's going to want to do that more. So great practice for that. Scorpio said, I just called my boys in so they can listen to this about forgiveness for their father. Yeah, that's a great practice for them. Just listen to that first piece about forgiveness. It's a lot of principles that are very helpful for men as well to do that. I've practiced this a lot myself. You have to find forgiveness. Otherwise, you're just going to continue to resent them the rest of your life. And you're going to also, what I think a lot of people do is this is what happens. A lot of people will live their life basically as a punishment to their parents. And what I mean by this is they'll say, see, the reason why I'm unhappy is because you screwed up. You weren't a good dad. You weren't a good mom. That's why I'm miserable. Or that's why my life sucks. That's why I'm poor. That's why I'm unhealthy. Or that's why I have horrible relationships. Or that's why I'm, have all these addictions or whatever the problems are. These psychosis, they'll make up all these things too inside they create within themselves, because they're like, I'm punishing you, basically. That's their way, because they haven't let go of forgiveness. They haven't let go of the resentment. They haven't forgiven their parents. So they're saying, I'm holding on to this and I'm screwed up because of you. And they're almost intentionally doing it to themselves so they can point their finger energetically or spiritually and say, like, see this F up right here? That's because of you. You did this. So you should feel bad. You should know, you should go to your grave knowing you were a bad parent. So unfortunately, this is what a lot of people do. And so you want to let go of that. You do not want to get caught in that. If you've caught yourself in that, if you feel like you have done that a little bit of like, sort of like putting the blame on like my life is the way it is because of my mom or because of my dad or because of my ex or because of whoever, like you got to let that go. You got to let that go, drop it. Because again, you're drinking the poison hoping that they're going to die, or you're drinking the poison hoping it's going to affect them when actually it's just damaging you. It's just continuing to make you suffer. So you got to let that go. It's unhealthy. You got to find Jesus. You got to find some solution, because that's not a healthy way to live your life. And now that you're aware of that, now it's your responsibility to let that go, because you can't let that continue. That's not healthy for anybody. And think of all the other people in your life. You're not being able to be the best person that you can be for them because you're holding on to these resentments that are unnecessary. Like the pain's never gonna what they did is never gonna go away, but your resentment towards that can go away, and your charge around it can go away, and you're doing it for yourself. So I hope that helps. So Robin said, I was brave and strategically asked the guy for help with the weights at the gym. I find him very attractive and am enjoying the process of interacting with him. Exercises, see if he wants to help me again. That's great. Great, Robin. You're really applying what you're learning here. Yes, and this is for everyone listening, like ask men for help. One thing that you can easily start doing most women can easily start doing to get into their feminine energy is start asking for help more. Hey, can you help me with that? Especially if it's something a man can provide, and pretty easily. It's even easy for him. Hey, can you like we had a client who did this the other day or a couple weeks ago. She said, yeah, I just start asking every time I go to the grocery store. I start asking a man, ideally somebody who works there, if they can help me load my groceries into my car. And the men love it. They're the guys who work there, especially, like they're happy to do it. They enjoy it. It's you practicing, right? You're practicing asking a man for his provision. He gets to accept that invitation. He gets to deliver his provision, and he gets to be received by you saying thank you or being happy or appreciating it. And now you've created this dance. You've created this masculine feminine cycle, and now you can start expanding on that and practicing that in all different ways in your life. It's easy with people who are, working, because now there's no feelings of like, if you're not attracted to them, it's not like a feeling of like, oh, now Is this a romantic thing? And, like, hey, baby, come here. It's like, well, you could also just practice it with guys, men who are working, construction workers, plumbers, guys on this, hey, would you mind opening the door for me? Or could you help me with this? Or could you grab that for me? Or, oh, I can't open this up, or this is hard, or can you help me with my computer or my phone? You could just ask guys for help, ask for advice, ask for help. It's getting you in this energy of like masculine provision is everywhere. It's all around you. Men want to help you. They're just waiting for that opportunity, and they want to know that you value that and that you would receive that. And it could just be as simple as saying thank you. And again, it doesn't have to be in a sexual sense or in a romantic sense, but just a practice of you being in your feminine. You could also use that with women too and just say, hey, could you help me with that? It's more you practicing receiving, because that's what you're doing it for yourself as the feminine, detached from the outcome. You want to practice receiving, so that when you're with a man you are very interested in, it's like a second nature for you because you've mastered this dance. You've mastered this language. Robin also said, any tips for growing this connection and seeing if one day he'll ask me on a date? Yeah, with the guy at the gym. Yeah, you could find other ways to start asking him for his advice. Since you're at the gym, you could say, hey, I saw you were doing this thing. Like, can you tell me how to use that machine? Or I've never used that before. What is that for? Asking for advice, asking for help so you can expand that. And then, ultimately, you can also start to share feelings that you have with him. So you could just share something like, hey, may I share something with you? Sure. Like, I just noticed how you were lifting that, and I was just like, wow, that's impressive. I just want to share, like, that seemed very impressive. Like, I was, let me see. You want to share the feeling. So you would share more like, I feel impressed, or I feel inspired. So you say, when I saw you doing that exercise, I felt inspired, like what's possible. Like, I want to get to that level someday. And I just want to share, like, thanks for doing that, because you're inspiring. Every time I see it, you're inspiring me. So you can share feelings like that with him, like a feeling you have is good, especially if it's like appreciation or a positive feeling. Yeah, it's hard to do much more than that in a gym situation unless he's shown interest. You don't really want to necessarily ask him out or ask him for a date. You want him to do that. But those are some, think of it more like practice, because you want to be detached from the outcome. Just continue to practice, and whether he steps up and asks you out or asks for your phone number, like, that's up to him. But you can continue to share. You can continue to ask him occasionally for advice, and just now you start to form a connection, right? Now you see him every day. You're smiling at him. You're waving. And then he may start to then get inspired to want to take it to the next level and say, like, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? Or do you want to work out together? You never know. So that's what I would say for him right now. But it's always good practice. Keep practicing. Yeah. So great questions. So I'm going to answer a couple more here, rapid fire, and then we're going to end for tonight. And then Mercedes said, I've been using feminine communication, and a man I just see less than 5 times want to offer me the keys to his house. Is that okay? It's scaring me. Yeah, that's, if you've seen him less than 5 times and he wants to give you the keys to his house, you have to share how that makes you feel. So if you're feeling uncomfortable with that, you want to share that and say, may I share something with you? Sure. When you offered for me to have the keys to your house, or first you would say the feeling. So you say, I feel discomfort. Why do you feel discomfort? Well, when you shared that you want me to have the keys to your house, even though we've only gone on 5 dates, I was telling myself a story that seemed a little too soon for me, or I wasn't sure what your intentions really were with that, or what. So whatever the story was you're telling yourself, like, I'm not sure if there's another alternative intention that you had, or what that means, and I don't know what to do. And like, could you help me with that? Or may I ask what you think about that? And then let him explain more. Let him explain why he was offering that, or what his intentions were. And at least now he knows your heart, that he maybe was going a little too fast. And so he can, like, step back a little bit or explain more what his intentions were. And then you can go from there. He'll likely correct it, because we don't know really why he offered that. But it's always important to, if you're feeling fear, to share that with him. And now you're speaking up. Now you're being the queen. You're not just saying, okay, great. Yeah, give me the keys to your house. It's kind of weird. Like, you want to share how that makes you feel, so that he can make adjustments and he can explain more. Or if he's still acting weird, and if he's still not showing like he really cares about your feelings around that, then you may need to step away. You may need to walk away, and he can always come back. But if he's not really taking your feelings into consideration, that's not good either. And then so Robin said about the gym guy. I was thinking when he asked me how my days say something about my problems, like I had a light has blown out in my car and I need to figure out how to find a new one. Yeah, that's good as well. So definitely that's part of feminine communication is sharing your problems so that he can fix the problem. And so that's definitely something you could share that you're having an issue with your car and just casually mention it and say, he may say, you want to be detached from the outcome, but he can say, oh, I can take a look at that. I actually used to be a mechanic, or oh yeah, this happens all the time, or like, what kind of light is it? Like, oh, you should get this one. He may just make a suggestion like, oh, or he might say, you should talk to my guy, my friend. He's like an amazing mechanic. Or he'll say, you should check out, like, just go on Amazon, search for this and that. That'll help you out. And either way, whatever he does, even if he's not then like asking you out on a date or full on like devoting himself to you, you can still appreciate him and say, oh, thank you so much. Or you can even say the words, literally, you could say, oh, you're my hero. Thank you so much. So now you're activating within him this hero instinct. You're continuing to practice also for yourself that men can be your hero, men want to be your hero. And so it's just good things all around that can come from that when you're making yourself available for a man to give you his care and devotion. All right, let's just a couple more here. Jessica said, why do men chase a woman? Say to the lady on their one that they will make plans for a date because they want to see her, then just nothing. No plans or date. He acts like nothing happened. So why do men do that? There could be a lot of reasons why. One likely reason is he wasn't really feeling the polarity. He wasn't really feeling your feminine heart, vulnerable, and he wasn't feeling real devotion. So he pulled back. He wasn't really that interested in you or the connection potentially, or he got distracted, or maybe he has another connection that's stronger. Yeah, because ultimately, guy can say whatever he wants. He could say, "Oh, I want to marry you someday," or "I'm going to take you on a trip to Europe," or "I want to plan a date," or "I'm going to call you." But if he doesn't actually do it, it doesn't really matter. And then, so that's more of a question of like, who knows? We don't really know. It doesn't really matter why he didn't follow through with that. Now, what's more important question, because we can't really control him, and we could try to analyze him all day. But what's more important is just what's going on for you and how you're showing up. And if he reaches out to you again, it's more important for you to share your feelings, how that made you feel, doing it in a respectful and a vulnerable way, using magnetic feminine communication to bring him back to you and have him want to hopefully not do that again, or hopefully just ask you out on a date and follow through with it this time. So you have to continually just bring it back to you, being in the queen, being in your magnetic feminine polarity, your magnetic feminine communication that we teach, so that you can actually have him step up and treat you right and follow through with his actions. Oh, somebody was talking about, I think we were talking about sex earlier. So someone's saying not before marriage, but spending time with biologically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Yeah, you definitely want to do all those things before marriage and during marriage as well. Yeah, so I hope that answered it, but might have came in a little later, so it wasn't quite in the context, which is fine. Mercedes said, I'd love to translate your content for Latinas community. Yeah, you can try. Or maybe I'll get an AI to dub my voice in Espanol, and that'll be interesting to experience. I could do it. If there's a big enough audience, I'd be willing to do it. We'll have to see. Because I know women all over the world, it's the same principles. We just sometimes need to translate some of the communication aspects to different languages. But and we have clients all over the world who join our coaching memberships, and I help them get those distinctions on like, oh, how do I translate this into Dutch? How do I, asking for permission, sometimes it comes out like the wrong way, I think. And so I listen and we help them get the right words so that they actually communicate these effectively, so that the man is, again, coming closer rather than pulling away. F. Garcia said, thank you. Nareem said, I like your video from New Zealand. Glad you're liking it. Same with Scorpio, said, thank you so much. Got a lot of thank yous. So, and this will be the last question for tonight. What are some ways a woman can drop the handkerchief, or should women not do that ever, i.e. make the first move? Yeah, you can actually. And this is a really powerful thing to do, which is you can actually drop the handkerchief. You can make the first move. You could even message a man first. Online dating. I know that's shocking, right? Because you say like, oh, that's masculine initiating. Well, what I found is that you can cancel out the masculine initiation if you're doing it with feminine communication. So you can actually say something to a man. You could even approach a man, but as long as you approach him with feminine communication, where you're not trying to get something from him, you're not trying to tell him what to do, you're not attached to the outcome, you can actually still draw him to you and still have the masculine feminine polarity. So what is feminine communication? Well, that would be only a couple of things that we teach and we help our women with, which would be asking permission, sharing feelings, sharing problems, or sharing appreciation with him. So you can approach him and say something like, may I ask you a question? Or may I share something with you? Or could I ask for your help with something? Or could I ask for your advice with something? These are all things you can say to a man right off the bat. Or like what Robin was saying about in the gym. You know, you can even just approach a guy in the gym and share things like that. Can I ask for your help with something? Can I ask for advice with something? That's feminine communication. So even though you're approaching him first, you're dropping the handkerchief because you're still doing it from your feminine. You're using feminine communication. Does that make sense? You could also share a feeling. Can I share a feeling with you? Sure. I feel so inspired when I saw you working out. So I was using a lot of this earlier with Robin, or I was looking, I saw your photo of you online and it made me, the one where you're hang gliding, and I felt terrified. Like, I don't know if I could ever do something like that. So you're sharing a feeling that you have, right? I feel fear. I feel anxiety. I feel grateful. I feel inspired. I feel happy. You can also share all those feelings. So as long as you're using the right statements and you're doing it in the right, from your feminine energy, again, everything goes back to magnetic feminine communication and magnetic feminine polarity. As long as you're operating from that place, which is what we help you with, you can do a lot of things that other women wouldn't get away with, wouldn't be able to do, because they're coming from masculine energy. So they would end up making the man not interested, or making the man not feel attraction or excited or want to devote or want to take the next steps himself. But because you're coming with feminine energy, you can activate his masculine to then start leading from there, to then start, you know, asking you more questions, or asking you for your phone number, or asking you out and wanting to help you with your problem, wanting to solve other problems for you, wanting to ask you to be his wife. So there's a lot of things that he might jump to because you've activated his masculine, which is exactly the way you need to handle it, and exactly what we help our women with. So I'm going to end it for tonight. But again, if you want us to do this for you, and if you want us to create the perfect scripts for you to use with a man that you're interested in, or for men in general, with your online dating, with your dating, but specifically, it's even more powerful if you have a specific man you're interested in, or even in a situationship with, or in a relationship, then make sure to start that process by taking our free Magnetize Your Man quiz by going to magnetizeyourman.com, or you can click on the link in the description or comments below this video. Let us help you to get a loving, long-term relationship with a man, high-value masculine man that you want, because having the distinctions, having the extra support, being around a community of other high-value women lifting you up, like in our coaching memberships, is going to help you so much to do this process so much faster, step in your masculine, because there's so many little distinctions that you're not going to get unless you have, like me, doing a role play with you live, which is what we do. Like coaching you live, doing a role play where we can actually practice these conversations, and you being in your feminine, so I can really measure how I'm being impacted by, as a man, by hearing you share your feelings, share your emotions, and shifting these little things that'll make all the difference between a man coming closer or a man pulling away. We also teach a 7-word text, what to say to get a man to revive a relationship, as well as we do a Magnetize Your Man 90-day challenge, where we actually give you a 90-day, specifically what to do within 90 days to turn a relationship from basically a dead relationship, a relationship that's going nowhere or ending, or the man's pulling away, losing interest, to having him devote himself to you, claim you, commit to you, desire you, and want to have you in his life forever, really. So highly recommend getting that if you haven't already. Much love. Hope this was helpful. Take care. And I can't wait to talk to you again very soon. Bye-bye.